This story time is probably going to sound unreal, but I promise it's real. When I was a little girl, I used to play with my front door neighbor a lot. She was only a year younger than me. And because we were so close in age, we became best friends. We went to the same school. She came over to my grandma's house to eat. I came over to her grandma's house. We hung out every day. Sometimes her mom would give me rides from school to the house too, because us 90s kids, we used to walk home, and we used to walk to school when we was 5-6 years old. It's not like how it is today. Like, you can't let your 5 and 6 year old walk home from school because there's always somebody waiting to snatch them up. That's not how it was back in our day. Anyway, so when I was 8 years old, my family decided that we were going to be moving from Puerto Rico to the United States. And as an 8-year-old in 2006, I lost touch with all my friends. I didn't have Facebook at 8 years old. There was MySpace, but I mean, as an 8-year-old, I didn't have MySpace. So really, there was no means to communication with my friends from Puerto Rico because they didn't have cell phones, so it's not like we could talk or text. So for years, I grew up in the United States, and I started a whole new life. I started a whole new school, met whole new friends, and that became my normal. Eventually, I stopped mourning the loss of my friendships from Puerto Rico from when I was a kid because I started growing up. Now, in between us moving from Puerto Rico to the United States, my dad cheated on my mom countless times, and my mom actually gave me permission to tell this story. So this is why I'm telling this story to y'all today. Obviously, as a child, we didn't know why our parents was moving us to the United States. Mind you, it's me and my little sister. She's 4 years younger. But in efforts for my parents to reconcile the relationship after my dad's numerous unfaithful events, we moved away. It wasn't up until I was 13 that finally my mom decided that enough is enough, and she fell in love with another man. So just a few weeks before my 14th birthday, we moved to Jacksonville, Florida, where I am currently at right now. I don't live here, but it's where I'm at right now. The transition to a different state was tough on me because I already had established friendships in Pennsylvania. But nonetheless, I had to move, and so I did. The only reason my mom and my now stepdad chose to move to Jacksonville, Florida, out of all places in the United States, was because we already had family here. My aunt, my uncle, and my grandma was all living here. That is the only reason why we ever chose to come to Jacksonville, because if it wasn't for that, I mean, there wasn't anything here for us. There wasn't any job opportunities. There wasn't any advancement opportunities, simply because we had a little bit of family here that we could depend on while we made this move across the East Coast. So boom, I turned 14 and I start my first year of high school. And now at this point, I've been on Facebook for a couple of years. So I get a friend request from someone on Facebook who has the same name as my childhood best friend in Puerto Rico. So I go through her profile just to see if it's her. Lo and behold, it's her. She looks exactly the same, except, you know, she's just older now, just like me. So if I was 14, she was 13. So I call my dad on the phone and I'm like, hey, do you remember so-and-so from Puerto Rico? Like my childhood best friend? Do you think this is her? And I sent my dad a screenshot of his profile, and he really didn't say anything, which was kind of odd. But then I showed the same profile to my mom, and my mom was like, oh yeah, that's definitely her. So I added her back on Facebook, and we talked for a little bit, and we caught up with each other. And it's like, it's so crazy that you found me on Facebook, but that's not even the crazy part. The crazy part is she lived in Jacksonville, Florida. Like, what are the odds, right? And trust me, that's not even the crazy part of the story. It's just crazy how we both ended up in Jacksonville, Florida after so many years. Okay, cool. So the reason my dad was acting so funky when I brought it up to him that this was my childhood best friend is because, and please hold on to your dungarees, my childhood best friend from Puerto Rico, she was actually my sister. She's my sister. It was a mere coincidence that we both ended up in Jacksonville, Florida. It was. However, we were bound to meet again. She's my blood sister. That is my father's daughter. And the crazy part about all this is my dad knew, my dad's mom, my grandma, she knew, and my half-sister's mom, she knew. But I didn't know, my mom didn't know, my little sister didn't know. Andrew, my little sister and her weren't ever really close because my sister is 4 years younger. So like, she wasn't playing with the big kids when we was kids. So now imagine the hurt and the pain of a woman who literally went through 20 years of heartbreak and unfaithfulness and lies with a man, only to finally move on with her life, fall in love with a different man who is now my stepdad, marry him, have a baby who is now my little sister, she's 14, just to go through a heartbreak all over again. Sorry if the story time is a little weird. I'm walking my dog and he's stubborn as hell. Anyway, so we all found out that she was actually my sister. She's my dad's daughter, and he came over to Jacksonville, Florida, and he stayed out here for like a month because he wanted to basically get to know her and reconcile and shit like that, right? And initially he put us through so much pain, all of us, because like, this is a big secret that came out, and like, everybody was shocked, you know, even her. Just to, at the end of it all, completely neglect her and not even continue or further a relationship. Are you okay? And not even try to build a relationship. I'll be 28 next month in May. She'll be 27 in July. And I recall her asking me one day, why doesn't dad love me? And I told her straight up, it's not just you. It's not just you, I promise you. He acts this way with all his kids. And the reason I'm even telling this story on social media and why I'm putting my business out there is not to throw dirt in my dad's name, because at the end of the day, he is my dad and I still love him. However, he has a girlfriend. He has a long-term girlfriend, and his girlfriend has kids. One of those kids being a now teenage daughter, but he's been in her life since she was like a toddler. And he treats that girl so differently and so good than his actual daughters. And when I spoke about his narcissistic behavior, she completely